It's been several months now since we learned that the SS United States has been sold to Okaloosa County, Florida. The county purchased the ship with the intention of sinking her to become an artificial reef off the coast of the Florida Panhandle. In fact, the United States will be the largest artificial reef in the world. I've been putting off discussing this topic on my channel for a while. Not because I'm concerned about the controversy surrounding it, but rather because I don't know what I could say about it, which hasn't already been said by hundreds of other people. But this is a channel about ocean liners, and one of my earliest videos was about the SS United States, so I feel that I should say my piece on the subject. For decades now, the fate of the SS United States has been uncertain. The ship's career, although glamorous, was cut short by the end of the ocean liner era in the early 1960s. From the end of her career as a transatlantic ocean liner until 1996, the ship floated around between owners and uses until she ended up docked in Philadelphia. She remained in Philadelphia, gutted on the inside and slowly rusting on the outside, for nearly 3 decades, my entire life almost. Various companies and organizations have owned the former flagship of the United States since the mid-1990s. Many of these owners had ambitious for-profit and non-profit plans for the ship, all of which proved to be impractical. Some of the plans included converting the ship to condos or returning her to service as a cruise ship. One of the world's major cruise lines, Norwegian, even owned the ship for several years as they assessed the feasibility of operating the old and iconic ocean liner as a cruise ship. But nothing was working. The SS United States Conservancy, which began as the SS United States Preservation Society in 1992, purchased the ship in 2011. Since then, the organization had been searching the world over for economically feasible opportunities to indefinitely preserve the ship. Every once in a while, a seemingly legitimate proposal would be announced, only to be deemed impossible. It was becoming increasingly clear that restoring the ship to a state of usefulness was simply too expensive. By 2021, due in part to the Conservancy's inability to pay the full rent, Pier 82's owner, Penn Warehousing, began legal proceedings to try to evict the Conservancy and force it to remove the SS United States. Ultimately, a judge ordered that the ship be removed within 90 days. The Conservancy did not have a place to move the ship to and had very limited funds to do so. This is when Okaloosa County saw its opportunity. The county offered to buy the ship for $1 million. Of course, the Conservancy did not want to sell the ship to Okaloosa, since the intention was to sink the ship. However, the Conservancy was backed into a corner. It signed a contingent agreement with Okaloosa to sell the ship, but only if a suitable alternative could not be identified before the eviction deadline. No such alternative was found. The agreement and the plan to sink the ship and turn it into an artificial reef was, of course, controversial. This is understandable, because just about everybody interested in ocean liners would like to see the ship preserved as a monument to the ocean liner era, and as a symbol of America's shipbuilding history. After all, there are countless preserved historic ships around the world, including a few ocean liners like SS Rotterdam, SS Great Britain, RMS Queen Elizabeth II, and of course, RMS Queen Mary, right here in the United States. So it might be asked, why can those ships be saved, but not what is perhaps the greatest civilian passenger ship ever built in the United States? And it's a good question. The answer, though, is complicated and largely comes down to a matter of circumstances. Even RMS Queen Mary, a much more famous and frankly historically significant ship, struggles to survive. Maybe even more key is the fact that Queen Mary still has her interiors, for the most part. SS United States was gutted long ago in order to remove the dangerous asbestos that her designer obsessively covered her in to prevent fires. There is nothing left inside the hull of the United States except for decaying liminal spaces. While she is still a spectacle and a piece of history, she would have to be restored inside to draw enough visitors, even as a museum. The idea of restoring her to become an operable passenger-carrying vessel is, as much as I hate to say it, outlandishly unrealistic. Such a feat would almost certainly require government funding. At a different time, one could see this being palatable to politicians and to voters, since the SS United States not only bears the name of her home country, but is an engineering marvel and part of our history as a country. But in my opinion, any proposal for government funding of a project that would probably cost close to $1 billion is dead on arrival in our current political climate. Such a project has not been politically viable, again in my opinion, since Bill Clinton was president. The stars did not align for SS United States, as is necessary for a ship to be saved for preservation. Of all the ships which have existed throughout history, only a minuscule portion of them have been saved. Of those, most are naval vessels. So what do I think about the plan for Okaloosa County to sink the United States and turn her into an artificial reef? To me, it's a bittersweet outcome to this very long saga. On one hand, I would love to see her restored and preserved as a museum for generations to come. On the other hand, it appears to me that this option was not on the table. Rather, the options were 1. Sell her to be scrapped, or 2. Accept Okaloosa's offer and allow her to be sunk. Between these two options, the latter is infinitely superior in my opinion. If she was to be sold for scrap, we would likely only get a few pieces of her saved and placed into museums. When the ship is sunk, the ocean will help to preserve her for centuries. She'll also be accessible, albeit only to those able to dive to her. But many people will come to know more about the ship as part of their diving expeditions. And the proceeds of the sale of the ship will allow the Conservancy to establish a land-based museum near the United States' final resting place. I very much like the concept they have put forth, which is to remove the forward superstructure from the ship, including her bridge and forward funnel, to serve as the museum's building. Ironically, this arrangement will make the ship much more accessible to casual visitors than she was when she was docked in the outskirts of Philadelphia. I know this is not the outcome that most of us wanted. Some of us, and I don't include myself in this, foresaw this outcome. It makes sense when you think about it. The ship was already gutted, making her preparation for eco-friendly sinking that much easier. The last thing I would have wanted to see is this great ship head to the scrapyard. We have avoided that terrible outcome. I'm sure you will all express your opinions in the comments section, but one thing I want to ask you is this. Do you or anyone you know plan to dive the SS United States once she is sunk? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching.